No sign of this pandemic righting itself anytime soon. Multiple reports this week suggesting that insurance companies are inappropriately denying long-term disability claims by sufferers of COVID. These are the people known as the long haulers that, for some reason, they just can't seem to, drop the symptoms of COVID-19. And disability claims related to COVID, directly or otherwise, are seeing more negative reaction from the insurance companies as the pandemic continues. Joining us now is disability lawyer Sivan Tumarkin. He's a partner at Samfiru Tumarkin, host of the Disability Law Show right here on 640 Toronto. You can hear it tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Sivan, you're up early. I appreciate this.
My pleasure, Mike. This is important.
It is very important. How bad is it getting?
It's getting bad. I mean, we've always had issues with insurance companies denying long-term disability claims to people who have legitimate claims. But, with COVID, it's the physical symptoms. It's also the psychological symptoms. And they're denying these claims on the basis of just ludicrous reasons. They're basically saying that this is a new science, this is a new illness, we don't know enough about it. And that's completely irrelevant to their obligation to pay under the policy. When people apply for long-term disability, they essentially have to show through their doctors, through medical reports that they provide, that they're unable to perform the essential tasks of their occupation. And that's really their only obligation. And they're doing this in this case with their COVID illness, and yet insurance companies are turning them away, which they should not be.
Yeah, and that's confusing, Sivan, because, it's a respiratory disease. I know it's a new virus, but it presents in a number of ways of illnesses that we already know about.
100%. And you have people who've been suffering from asthma and other respiratory diseases. You're absolutely right. But the crux of it, and this is what's concerning to me, is that there's no oversight that I'm seeing from the government in relation to this. I've even had people call me telling me that their insurance company turned them away and in fact told them to go and get the wage subsidy. And that, again, that's ludicrous. They have an obligation under these insurance policies for which they've been paid premiums. They've collected premiums for these situations, where somebody can't work, and yet they're refusing to pay. And what people need to understand is that, don't take whatever the insurance company says at face value. You have rights, and it's actually not difficult to get the insurance company to pay you. You just need to know what to do.
Absolutely. We talk about the website, disabilityrights.ca, with all that kind of information. Is it common, Sivan, when there is a condition that really science hasn't completely understood yet? I'm thinking of something even like fibromyalgia, where the insurance companies all of a sudden become scientists and make their own determinations.
Yeah, they become scientists all the time. I've had a gentleman actually tell me this week that his adjuster told him, quote unquote, "I don't care what your doctor says." Again, this is just ludicrous. They'll never put that in writing. But again, you know what? You even have situations where we don't even have a diagnosis. None of the doctors are necessarily disagreeing that the person can't work. They all agree he or she can't work. They just don't know what the diagnosis is, let alone fibromyalgia or other illnesses. But again, we got to look at what the policy, what the contract with the insurance company says. It doesn't say that you need a diagnosis. It doesn't say you need to have, a proven label, to put on something. All we need is a doctor or doctors treating the person saying, look, objectively, this person cannot do the essential tasks of their occupation. If you have that, your insurance company must pay. It's that simple.
Sivan, have you been hearing from people who haven't physically suffered from COVID-19, but certainly because of the pandemic have felt it mentally and have found themselves incapable of working?
Absolutely. And I think, in fact, this is going to be a tsunami that is coming our way. It's not just me saying it. Doctors have been raising the alarm. In fact, I read recently that quite a few hospitals across the country have added beds as a result of people who need to stay in the hospital because of mental health conditions. With the isolation, with this drawn-out situation, people are feeling it and they're breaking down. They're suffering from depression, anxiety. Again, if you cannot work, and again, we're not talking about permanently, but if you cannot work at this point in time because of these situations, these conditions, these impairments, and you have a family doctor or a psychologist or someone that is confirming that you cannot work, you need time off, your insurance company has to pay you for that.
Is it more difficult as well because a lot of these medical appointments and medical consultations, Sivan, are having to be done virtually? I mean, I think it exacerbates an already tough situation for people.
It does. I mean, not just for individuals, but for doctors themselves who are being inundated with these kinds of requests. And, insurance companies they do have a right to get documentation. They do have a right to ask you, what is your doctor saying? But yes, it's exacerbated the situation. And again, insurance companies must be reasonable. They can't tell you, hey, Mike, you have to get me a report by next Friday, or else we're not going to pay you. They can't do that. And when they're acting this unreasonably, we can hold them to account.
All right. You can check out the website disabilityrights.ca tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., Sunday at noon, and 8:30 on Global Television Sunday mornings. It's the Disability Law Show with Sivan Tumarkin. Have a great weekend, Sivan.
Thank you. You too, Mike.
All right. Take care of it. Sivan Tumarkin, partner at Samfiru Tumarkin, host of the Disability Law Show.